Alrighty, the hot topic in wrestling that seems to never go away, the Ferrari saga. I covered AJ back in the day on the channel during his allegations in Oklahoma that have since been dropped. Now with everything else going on, I thought it would be a really good time to open the Ferrari jar back up for the second time. And I really bet it won't be the last time either. Now just so everyone does have a heads up, I will be covering the recent AJ stunt news or whatever, but I also want to talk a little Iowa wrestling to give my thoughts on their lineup questions and their potential moving forward, because yes, they're pretty solid right now, but how good could they really be, or how good can they be moving forward, and how good can they really be if they add AJ Ferrari into the fold, which at this time of writing it really doesn't seem likely for this year, but hey, I've seen crazier stuff happen in college wrestling, so let's lock in and ride this roller coaster that is the question: is Iowa better off with or without AJ Ferrari? So it's no secret, AJ Ferrari really hasn't been around college wrestling all that much since his allegations back in Oklahoma. He's been training for his fighting career and hitting his lifts, and according to him, getting closer with his family and God, which I'm really happy to hear, to be honest. However, this past summer rolled on and it was announced that Anthony Ferrari would be transferring to Iowa, along with the Ferrari's youngest coming to Iowa as well, Angelo Ferrari. It seemed almost inevitable at this point that AJ was the next one to go to Iowa, and oh boy did those rumors ring true, sort of. He would make his first appearance at Iowa's home tournament, the Soldier Salute, and from a wrestling standpoint, I really think he just looked fine. Still looked pretty solid and beat some decent competition, but you could tell wrestling really hasn't been his main focus for the past few months. However, if you look at the amount of time he would have, especially one of the best rooms in the country, from the Soldier Salute to the national tournament, I really think he would have been alright. However, after an overtime win over Iowa's current starter and loyal Hawkeye Zach Glazer, all madness would break out. And yes, I do know there's been some other interesting takes on this whole Glazer-Ferrari situation. I mean, Ferrari himself even said he was defending himself, but in my opinion, that really isn't the big deal with this whole situation. Also, if you want to hear AJ's point of view, the Clash of Combat channel did do an interview with him, which I highly recommend you check out. It was actually pretty interesting to hear AJ Ferrari actually talk about some of these things. But anyway, to give my 2 cents on what happened, to be honest, I've seen a lot of pushing and shoving and words exchanged at wrestling matches. I was even at a tournament this past weekend where I saw it, and during my senior year at State, I even saw a kid flip off a ref and the wrestler he was going up against, and would you believe it, he got DQ'd from the tournament. So yeah, everything that happened I think was deserved. However, after everything that was said, maybe not said, every punch or slap that maybe was thrown or not thrown, every finger that was maybe raised or not raised, to go on to do this, the pictures seen across wrestling, like what was he thinking? I get it. It hurts to be booed by your soon-to-be fans, but they'll boo anyone acting like this, especially when keeping your cool is such a pivotal thing to learn in wrestling that is taught at such a young age. Oh man, but anyway, I digress. Again, AJ talks a lot about this during his Clash of Combat interview, and I sort of feel for the guy. If what he says is true about what some of the fans were saying to him, I get losing your cool. But again, this seems way beyond losing your cool. Also, to be fair, AJ would go on to apologize on the Clash of Combat interview on how he regretted it, along with putting on a social post on Instagram and other social medias, I believe. So if he really does regret it, I hope he kind of changes for the better, and I hope some things start to work out for him, but actions speak a lot louder than words, especially with the Ferrari family. Then through rumors, Tom Brand interviews, and basically through AJ's Twitter posts, it appears AJ is out for Iowa for at least this year, which in my opinion might work better for them in the long run. The only problem is if things don't cool down after AJ Ferrari Olympic red shirts, then he might be out for Iowa and might go somewhere else. And if that's the case, it's more than likely the whole family is going to follow him there. The only chance that I see this not happening is if AJ Ferrari is out for Iowa and just decides to hang it up altogether and go right into fighting. However, I really think things will cool down after the Olympic red shirts this year, and he'll probably jump in the lineup next season. But hey, a lot can happen in a year, especially with the Ferrari family. However, I think this is a good time to transition to Iowa's lineup questions and to really figure out if AJ would really even help them out that much. From a pure point perspective, let's say he takes second, which is probably where most people would slot him in at right now. Yes, this is more points than Zach Glazer's probably projected to make. However, he did just get a really nice win and has a lot of potential. To back things up a little bit, the Iowa versus Nebraska duel was one of the top duels of the year so far in my opinion, and it had a lot of hype going in, and I think lived up to it. Also, if Iowa competes like this all year, I think they can beat almost any dual team in the country this year. Drake Ayala got a really nice win at 125 over ranked opponent Caleb Smith of Nebraska, who actually beat Kaler of Oregon State, which is Ayala's only loss in the year so far. Man, you gotta love 125 this year, which reminds me, if you haven't checked out my newest video, please feel free to go check that out. Real Woods is probably the top pick to win nationals this year at 141, and the North Dakota State transfers in Franek and Caliendo are shaping out to have really good seasons this year, with Franek actually just beating returning All-American Peyton Robb of Nebraska in a really entertaining match. Franek did just lose at the Minnesota duel to Blockus, who is another returning All-American, but I still think Franek and Caliendo have really high potentials, and they've proven that last year with All-American status. 174 and 184 they're still figuring out for this year, with a lot of talk about Gabe Arnold stepping in and pulling his red shirt, along with their 149 situation where I think Ratchian is probably their best bet and honestly has a lot of upside in my opinion. At heavyweight, there seems like there's a mini roster battle between Ben Keeter, who's a high school star and top recruit who's also a high football recruit, going up against Iowa's current starter Bradley Hill, who's having somewhat of an up and down year but got a really nice win during a Nebraska duel. On top of that, Keeter did get a nice ranked win during the Minnesota duel, but he still looks like he's a little bit in football shape, so we'll see how it plays out. I mean, Keeter still has a red shirt to use, so this was just his first date use, so we'll have to wait to see what happens. And then we head back to 197, and to be honest, I get what AJ's potential / proven potential is. However, Zach Glazer, in my opinion, is an awesome choice right now. He just took out Silas Allred by more points than Jacob Warner ever did, and Warner was the guy who kept Glazer out of the starting spot for several years now, which I think from a pure culture perspective is something you really need, especially in today's landscape with college wrestling. And it's even cooler when guys like that step up to be projected All-American level guys like a Silas Allred. I mean, the dude pushed AJ Ferrari to an overtime match and had a lot of chances to win, so I really like where Glazer is at right now. I'm excited to see where he goes from here. Now, with all that said, I think Iowa is loaded, but they also have their problems, like at 133 with Teskey having a shaky year so far, and their 174 is Patrick Kennedy, who just made weight at 165 a few weeks ago. 184 is looking like Riggins right now, but Key was recruited as like a 157/165, so clearly they don't have a lot of great options at 184, but Riggins is probably their best bet. So at the end of the day, would AJ and potentially pulling some red shirts help? I mean, probably, yeah, if you're just trying to fill your best team, which normally that's the name of the game at the end of the day. But the real curious note to look at is, what's the potential for next year? The ultimate goal, like I said, yes, is to win, and Iowa has already won some very high-level duels. But beating Penn State, especially this year, is a very tall task. And even next year, they're going to have some really strong returners, along with some young guys that are appearing to really step into their roles nicely for next season. However, when a team loses 2 potential 4-timers, then yeah, it does get a little easier to beat them, but not by much, considering we are talking about Penn State here. On that note, though, Iowa would still have Drake Ayala. Gabe Arnold will be joining the fold at 174. Caliendo is back for a couple more years. Ben Keeter is more than likely going to be the guy by then and will have a full year of training under his belt. AJ Ferrari could jump into the mix if his Olympic redshirt theory is true. Glazer still has eligibility, but we will see how his season ends up. I'm hoping really good, to be honest. Angel will be on campus, and I have a theory he might be ready to go to jump in with these college guys right away. 184 is probably going to be a transfer guy if we're being honest here. Ryder Block is also in redshirt right now, so I really think he could help out with the 149 or 157 situation, along with Ratchin still being in the mix after getting a full year of starting experience in. Now, on the flip side of that coin, we could do the exact same game with Penn State or other high-level teams for who's going to be filling in with Brooks, Starocki, and other high-level guys. But at the end of the day, do I really think AJ Ferrari is going to help all that much this year with Iowa capturing a team title? Not really, especially with all the drama going on. Culture-wise and image-wise, are a really important thing on the college level, and you really have to be smart. There's a difference between taking a chance on a guy who's made some mistakes and then really reaching when the kettle's hot. I mean, Iowa lost Cody Chittum, an All-American potential guy this year, to Iowa State literally moments after the Ferraris announced their arrival. Imagine Iowa's lineup next year with Chittum taking over after developing under Franek for a year. Like, what? He'd be so good. Because ultimately, I think they will find someone to replace Franek, but that is a big hit to them next year. He's done after this year, and the dude could be in the national finals. Ultimately, I think another year away might be really good for AJ, and once all the brothers are back together, hopefully it really helps out. Or it could just get really worse with all three of them together and another blow up could happen, but yeah, I really hope that doesn't happen, because at the end of the day, I really wish the guy just figures everything out and can finish his eligibility with college wrestling, because when he's in college wrestling, it is more fun, but when all the drama's involved, it just kind of ruins it all, and I think we all can agree with that. So I really hope he was sincere in his interview and his apologies, and I really hope he's working to figure it all out. Well, everyone, if you ended up enjoying this video, agree with my thoughts, or have your own opinion on the matter, be sure to still hit those like and subscribe buttons, along with leaving your comments in the comment section below. I'm really curious to see what everyone's thoughts are on this. I'm curious to see who's on the Chael Sonnen side of things, or who's on the more generic side of this storyline. But like I said earlier, I'm sure this won't be the first time I'll be covering Ferrari or his brothers or anything on the topic while he's still waiting to enter the college scene. But for now, thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Take care, everybody.